All right, was you guys glad to have some music to start out tonight with? You were missing it, were you? Well, that's good, because I'm glad that you missed it. We were going to do our best tonight to make sure and send this to YouTube, but unfortunately, I'm doing something wrong. So we are back on Facebook Live for some reason, so I am letting them know. We'll put it up later. Technology is great until it doesn't work. We are, because for some reason, whatever reason, I did it. Last night I was up here. We ran through it next door. Everything worked fine, and then come over here, and it's like it's two different gremlins. One over here hates me more, I guess. But the big deal for me is to make sure that the main service is always taken care of. I mean, not that this is second, but I always like to make sure that this is going good. So anyway, we're going to be in, we're going to be called, tonight's message is called Ride the Lightning. But we're going to be looking at things, I guess for you, what would be a storm? What is something that, is anybody in here scared to death of storms? Tornadoes. You're not scared to death of them at all. You think they're calming? Okay. The best sleep. So, but here, let's just look at this. What comes with a storm? Okay, rain, lightning, thunder, wind. I mean, because even if it comes up during the day, is there darkness that comes up? So you have a whole lot of elements come to a storm. Now, if you're in your house and it's just a regular thunderstorm, are you all that really worried about it? I mean, I know some people that are just, and it's fine, just scared to death of lightning. Is anybody in here scared to death of lightning? Okay, thunder bother you at all? I mean, has anybody got an animal? Anybody got an animal at home that if it thunders, I mean, that dude is underneath something somewhere, whatever. And some of you may be the people that if it storms and you're asleep, you'll just sleep right through it, no problem. And some of you, thunder booms and you are up, making sure everything's fine. Yes, but what if there's a tornado warning involved with it? You're wearing what to bed? Shoes to bed? Because you want to be able to get up and run, okay? So you want to be prepared if there's a tornado warning. Can you imagine what the people on the coast that live through hurricanes and stuff have to go through? Right, so you got hurricanes in the Gulf and on the East Coast, and then you have snowstorms up in the Rockies and the northern states and all that stuff. We ain't had a snowstorm here in I don't know when. I know, it's been forever since we had snow. I wish we would have a good snowstorm, but we have not. So, anyway, that's just what it is. So when we look at elements of the storm, there's a whole lot that goes into making, say, just a thunderstorm, right? Okay, so we're going to look at this real quick. We're going to jump into Jeremiah 51:16 tonight to start with. And this is actually a moment where Jeremiah is praising God. He is talking to God. He's giving God some glory, things like this. But when we're going to look at it, we're going to dissect a storm, and we're going to dissect God in a storm. And so I want to make sure that you understand the two. Because storms are obviously, if you're an airline pilot, would you want to avoid a storm? Absolutely. Has anybody ever rode in a plane in a storm? I have. It's a little, yeah. I've went over one. It's a little shaky, things like that. And it's pretty cool to be able to look out the plane and see the lightning and the clouds below you and all that stuff. And so we were pretty high, and the storm was actually pretty low. The clouds were low. But anyway, I've looked out the windows of a plane and saw lightning next to me and all that stuff. And you're going, holy crap. I'm 30,000 feet, and I hope this thing can take a lightning strike or whatever, because in your car, they say you're relatively safe because you have the rubber tires. I still don't want lightning to strike the hood of my car, okay? I don't want it to strike the top. Not that my hair would stand up, because I don't have any to stand up. Maybe the hair on my arms would stand up. Right, yes. And so anyway, because a lot of people, how many of you will not go somewhere if there's a storm? I mean, if it's a winter storm, you can't find bread or milk within like 2 hours. How many of you are still wiping with toilet paper you bought during the panic of the toilet paper freak out, okay? Because everybody during the pandemic, I mean, when it first kicked off, toilet paper nowhere to be found. You couldn't find a Clorox walk to save your life. You couldn't find hand sanitizer to save your life. Yeah. So, I mean, I was actually driving around in my truck, in my work truck, when I knew when Harps and Seligman got their trucks in, and so they were giving me toilet paper, and I was taking it to different people that I knew needed it, basically the elderly or whatever that couldn't find it because the freak out happened, and for some reason, nobody thought toilet paper was going to be made again. But anyway, I mean, there's a bathtub right there next to you. What's the big deal? I mean, you're eventually going to get clean somehow. Right, yes. So anyway, people freak out over storms, okay? I mean, because really, here's the other deal. We can be forecasted like a foot of snow, and everybody will freak out. I mean, foot of snow. Let's say if they forecasted a foot of snow for Saturday tonight, would bread and milk be off the shelf? Yes. People would be freaking out, and they would drive straight to Walmart, straight to the gas station, straight to the other grocery stores, and they'd wipe it all out because they're worried about something that's not here yet. Because how many times have we had a foot of snow predicted, and then Saturday gets here, and the sun's shining, and it might have drizzled a little bit, and that's it, and it's 70 degrees. Because they say like an inch of snow or an inch of rain is a foot of snow. I think is how that works or whatever. But anyway, people will freak out over anything. It's like excuses to come to church. Will people use any excuse not to come to church? Okay? I mean, if it's snow, nobody's going to show up. People are going to go, it's going to snow. I'm not going to be there. Okay? And they probably have four-wheel drive trucks, and they live like a half mile away, but it's too dangerous, okay? So, and then it may be raining real hard that morning, and so they're not going to show up because it's raining real hard, because Christians will make predictions how weather will just destroy their worship and praise because of a raindrop. And so we're going to look at God's, what he does in storms. And so Jeremiah 51:16 says, "When he speaks in the thunder, the heavens roar with rain. He causes the clouds to rise over the earth. He sends the lightning with the rain and releases the wind from his storehouse." Now, is he the thunder? When he speaks in the thunder. He's not the thunder, he's speaking in it. So is the thunder separate from him? Yes, he's speaking in the thunder. The heavens roar with rain. He causes the clouds to rise over the earth. Is he in the cloud, or is he just making the cloud? He's making the cloud. Okay. He sends the lightning with the rain. Is he in the lightning, or is he sending it? He's sending it with the rain and releases the wind from the storehouses. Is he in the wind, or is he just sending it? He blows you away. That's a good pun, okay? We're going to give you that, okay? So, how many of you love for God to show up like lightning and thunder in your life? You want him to show up so powerful, because how powerful is lightning? It's huge powerful. How powerful is rain? Get too much of it, it's real. There's nothing stronger than hydraulics. Hydraulics is the strongest force on the earth. You cannot withstand hydraulics. Wind probably runs a close second, because we use wind to get energy. Thank goodness those stinking windmills did not get put in our county, because I have a guy up in Lawrence County that took a picture out his window. Maybe it's Dade. And he goes, "Look at my wonderful view now out his window." And it used to be, he took a before photo, and it's a beautiful sunset across this field and everything. Now there's this giant, ugly windmill in his western sunset. So, The ones that create energy, the big giant ones that you see, yeah. The ones that are in western Kansas and Colorado that look so horrible when you're driving through there. Yeah. Some people have anxiety attacks driving through those windmills because they freak them out. Okay? So, you have thunder. Is thunder dangerous? Usually, if you're struck by lightning, okay, my daughter's movie that she loved to watch last week, Benjamin Button. Yes, where the guy says, "Did you know I've been struck by lightning 7 times? One time, I was walking across the road to get my mail," and then it shows him getting struck by lightning. It's pretty funny. And he says it like, I don't know how many times in the movie, I think 4 or 5, 4. And he says like 2 different times in one, but anyway, he tells about it. And so the thunder is not so bad, but it warns you that lightning is in the area. Yes. Tells you how many miles away it is. And then they say if you can even hear thunder, you're close enough to be struck by lightning. I don't know how that works. I'm not a meteorologist. So, yeah. So thunder gives us a warning, but thunder is with lightning. Lightning is something that can kill us. Wind can turn into a tornado. It can kill you as well. Rain can turn into floods, and it can kill you as well. So all of this stuff is life-threatening stuff, but God is being chosen to speak through this stuff because of how powerful it is. Are you tracking with me so far? Okay. So we get to see how powerful it is, but what's it like when you're in it? Because we're going to look at a group of guys that get in a boat, and they go out into some water, and then things get a little hairy for them. We love to look at thunderstorms out our window. We love to look at lightning streaking across the sky. We love to listen to the rain hit the ground. We love to do all that stuff. But when you're the one in it that's fighting for your life and you're scared by everything that's going on around you, it's not so much fun anymore. I remember being on a hunting trip one time with me and a friend of mine who's a conservation agent. We went turkey hunting, and we got caught miles away from the truck in a hailstorm and lightning storm. And I mean, we physically saw 2 trees get blown to pieces when we were trying to make our way back to the truck. He literally said that's probably one of the scariest moments of his life. And it ain't like you can go hide underneath the tree to get away from lightning. That's the stupidest place to hide. I think you're better off to just go stick your head in the dirt out in the middle of an open field and stick your rear in the air and probably have less chance of getting struck by lightning than you would if you were hiding under a tree, because do trees get hit by lightning? Well, yes, they do. I might as well go stand on top of a metal roof. But anyway, when you're in it, it's a scary moment because all the stuff is going on around you, and you're seeing it as something that can hurt you. Correct? Okay? So what I want to address with you guys tonight is what it looks like for you in your life inside a storm. And you can look at it in one of 2 ways, and I hope that one way is good for you and one is bad for you when we get done, and hopefully change your mind a little bit about some things. So we're going to be in Matthew to start off with. That's where we're going to be at. It's Matthew 14, 22 through 24. I'll give you a chance to get there, or you can be lazy and read it off the screen since I put it on the screen. 14, 22 through 24. But this is a really cool message that I've heard preached in different ways, and sometimes there's some things missed in it. And especially when you're a pastor or a speaker and you sit back there and you want to interject your own stuff and go, this was in it, but we flew right over it. But if they flew over it, then it's because God ordained it to be flew over because they needed to do something else, not that they did it wrong. Have you got it? I got it. Got it? Okay, Matthew 14, 22 through 24 says, immediately after this, Jesus insisted that his disciples get back into the boat and cross to the other side of the lake while he sent the people home. So, just to stop right here, Jesus puts his disciples in a boat. Now, this comes after feeding a lot of people, okay? And Jesus says, you know what? I'm going to go pray. So, immediately after this, Jesus insisted that his disciples get back in the boat to cross to the other side of the lake while he sent the people home. After sending them home, he went up onto the hills by himself to pray. Night fell while he was there alone. Meanwhile, the disciples were in trouble far away from land, for a strong wind had risen, and they were fighting heavy waves. So here again, we go back to 22, and it says, Jesus insisted that they get in this boat. And he's going to send some people away, and he's going to go up on a hill and pray. Jesus put his disciples in a boat and sent them out on the water. Does Jesus know that the storm is coming? Yes, he does. Jesus goes up on the hillside while he puts his disciples in a boat and sends some people away. And from that hillside, even just to let you know of the terrain and everything, you can see the other side where they were trying to get to. So is it a real wide body of water? Somewhat. I mean, it is. It's not like they had a motor on the back and could just take off. If I took you to the widest spot in Beaver Lake or Grand Lake and told you to row across the lake, would it be a timely trip for you? Well, yeah, because some of those parts of Grand and Beaver are pretty wide. Table Rock, not so much. It's kind of a skinnier body of water. But when you get into those, there's some pretty big bodies of water. Say I take you up to Lake Michigan and say, row across the other side of that lake. Because you can see the other side, but it's a real long ways off. And so these guys are trying to make it to the other side, and then all of a sudden a storm comes up, and they have trouble they're far away from land, as strong wind had risen, and they were fighting heavy waves. So with Jesus up on the mountain praying, could he see what was happening? You would think so. And so we move on to this section, because when you're out in the waves of let's say a spiritual storm, emotional storm, or maybe a physical storm or whatever, do you feel like sometimes you're rowing against the wind, that you're fighting it constantly? And so when you're in it, do you hope that he sees you? The Sunday school answer is obviously yes. I hope Jesus sees me in my trouble. And so when these guys are in it, Jesus is the one who sent them out in it, put them in a boat. Was a storm going on when Jesus put them in a boat? No. It's like, hey, I need you guys to go to the other side. I'm going to go up here and pray. And obviously makes it probably sound like to me, I'm going to catch up with you guys later, so you go ahead and go on over. But it's late. It's late in the day. So if you remember the story of this, Jesus, they take care of all these people, feed them and everything, and it's late because even when they start to feed them, it's late because the disciples said, you know what, you need to send those guys away. It's getting late. It's the first hour of dark or of night. The first hour is 6 to 9. So then you have 9 to midnight, which is the second hour. You have midnight to 3, the third hour, and you have 3 to 6, it's the fourth hour. So you need to remember that. Can you remember the fourth hour is from when? 3 to 6. So if Jesus sends them away in the boat in the first hour, it's 6 to 9, okay? So you're hoping that he sees you in the trouble that you have from day-to-day life. So when you get up in the morning to go to school, you might get in your boat, your car, or school bus, and it may be fine on the way there, but can the wind and waves raise up while you're in class, when you're with people? Maybe your family is cruising along just fine, your boat is moving very correctly in the path that you think it should be going, but sometimes does it feel like a fight from time to time? Okay? You might be in a relationship with someone that seems like it's really going well. One day, all of you might be married. You may feel like this is going very well, okay? There's a reason why Disney, again, stops at the wedding. Me and my son the other night, because it's getting harder and harder to find anything on TV you can watch with a 9-year-old. And so basically we were watching Shrek, okay? So that is the only Disney movie, again, that goes past the wedding. Has anybody ever watched? Huh? Yeah, well, Shrek goes way past the wedding, okay? They get wicked way past the wedding. And if you see, there's troubles in the marriage, right? Okay? So sometimes your marriage is going to cruise along good, and then sometimes you're going to be in a fight, maybe with each other, financially, health, whatever that may look like for you in your marriage. You've probably seen parents go through, things are going good, and all of a sudden now waves are crashing everywhere, and we feel like the boat is going to sink. And you are sitting there going, God, do you see me? I want you to understand that everything that happens in life is allowed to pass through God's hand. He lets us choose what we do with it, how we handle it. I'm not saying that if your parents got divorced or if someone in your family dies or whatever, that God did that, but he allowed it to happen, and now he's seeing how everyone is going to take this chore on. So you're hoping that he sees you. So in Matthew 14:25 through 27, about 3 o'clock in the morning, so it is the fourth hour. They got in between 6 and 9. How long they been out there in the boat rowing? A long time. They've been out there at least a good, at the least a good 6 hours. More like 8, probably, okay? So about 3 o'clock in the morning, Jesus came toward them, walking on the water. When the disciples saw him walking on the water, they were terrified in their grief. They cried out, "It's a ghost." But Jesus spoke to them once. "Don't be afraid," he said. "Take courage, I am here." So they've been fighting this storm forever. Because if you're out there for 6 hours rowing, what's your attitude going to be? It's going to be crap. It's going to be 100% crap. So whenever you get into life storms, where's your attitude go? Crap. It goes down the drain. So you're starting to fight everything that's happening. You're involved in sports. You start having you start having some, maybe you just can't make a basket anymore. Maybe you can't hit a ball no more. Maybe you can't do anything right anymore out there on the floor. Do you have those seasons in your careers? Maybe you take tests and all of a sudden now you can't seem to pass one of them even though you were nailing everything to begin with. And so you're starting to feel like, why can't I get anything right now? And it's a season that goes for quite a while in your life. And so you get to choose what your attitude becomes. And it's easy to get very upset. Can you imagine a conversation with these guys in the boat? There's 12 of them in a boat. 12 of them in a boat, and the water and waves are crashing everywhere. Remember, you have the hater Judas in the boat as well. But you also have John, who is known for being laid back. So John is probably not rowing. Okay, could you imagine Peter's attitude in the boat? Because Peter was me. Okay, he is on the Enneagram. He is a 179. I'll guarantee you. Okay, he is a take charge kind of person. My way or the highway. Is there anybody else in the room? That is your mindset. You do it my way, or you get out of the boat. Okay, Peter was probably barking orders out like crazy. How quick do you get tired of those people? And there's got to be that one in the boat that's going, are we there yet? Okay? Or to top it off, the other one going, I need to pee. So, okay? So now you have wind and waves, you've got complainers, you've got one who's mad because nobody's doing nothing. You got one who's just watching everybody do something and going, I don't know what's wrong with these people. We're just blowing around out here. And you've got, yes, you have all kinds of personalities that are wanting to choke each other. How many of you does your home look that way? Okay? Every once in a while, our house looks that way. Try to get in a car and go, where are we going to eat tonight? It is like the worst battle ever, okay? We let women pick once, and humanity went downhill, okay? So, I know. so anyway, just simply riding in a car together can look like this boat ride. Now, were these guys were they in the boat because they did something wrong? No. Jesus sent them in the boat. What did he tell them? Get in the boat and go to the other side. Was there a promise made? That they'll make it to the other side. Jesus says, I need you to get in a boat and go to the other side. Did he guarantee that it was going to be a smooth trip the whole way? No. He just said, get in a boat and go to the other side. You get to choose what you do with what hits you on the way there. Remember who I am. Remember I'm in control. Okay, that's what Christ is saying. I'm going to go up on a hill and pray. I'm going to go talk to the Father. You guys are going to get in this boat and go to the other side. He never said, hey, do your best. Look out. Maybe have a life preserver or something because bad things are going to happen. He says, go to the other side.
Is this the first or the second time?
Gosh, now you've got me. I don't have to.
The time that he was sleeping on the boat.
Yes,
He was freaking out too.
that was the first time. Because that's before they really understood him. Because they're like, why are you still sleeping? And he got up and said, what's wrong with your faith? And that's where some of them already believed. Yes, but what's the difference between us? God's came through before, but now we're over here freaking out. We do it all the time. 12 guys in a boat. It's not Jonah's boat. It's not the boat of disobedience. It's not the boat that I'm running away from God and now a storm comes up and puts me in the belly of a whale. You remember the story of Jonah? Big storm comes up. See, storm comes up, hits a boat because Jonah was in disobedience. Different boat. Paul's on a boat with a bunch of guys, and Paul says, we should stay here. We shouldn't go. And then they get out there and they get in a storm, and that's a boat of ignorance. Paul told them, we shouldn't go. It's a different boat. You have different boats, disobedience, ignorance, and you have obedience in the middle, and they're both fighting storms. There's no guarantee that things are going to be easy. But Jesus says, get in a boat and go to the other side. He didn't say you're going to fight a storm. He didn't even say how long you're going to fight it. Some of you have been fighting a storm personally in your life for years. Some of you, it's just getting started. Some of you are in the boat right now and everything's going good. The Wi-Fi is working, okay? I can. Among Us is still rocking good and not missing out on that, okay? I'm not the imposter, okay? Things are going great. If you don't play that game, then I don't even play that game. I just heard stuff. So I'd have to have Dayton get up here and teach a class on it. But Jesus spoke to them at once. Don't be afraid, he said. Take courage, I'm here. Did they recognize him right off the bat? If you know this story, they didn't. Because, see, there was some Jewish culture that believed there was these giant sea monsters at the bottom of the water. You can go all the way back into Exodus, even earlier than that. You know, you get to hear about the Nephilims, and you get to hear about all the sea creatures in the Old Testament that they believed were in the water. And so they were scared to death of stuff that they had no idea that was below them. Again, like I told you, my wife doesn't like to go out where she can't see the bottom. Anybody else? Don't. If I can't see the bottom, I ain't getting in it, okay? My son watched the movie Meg, never going to the ocean again, okay? He is scared to death that a giant prehistoric shark is going to come up and swallow thousands of people. So, here's the deal. You get in the boat, everything's easy, now you see him. You get out there and stuff gets hard, now you don't. Because you start to wonder, God, why am I having to row so hard through this situation? Why is my boat about to fill up full of water and me to sink? Are you here or are you not here? Because if he's up on a hill praying, can he see you? Yes. He still sees you, but sometimes he lets you go through that so you can grow. And I know that's a hard pill to swallow, but sometimes we go through the crappiest days of our life because we need to grow. We need to be able to put our faith more and more and more in him than we do. Just like when he screams at him when he's asleep that time in the boat, and they said, why are you sleeping? We're all going to die. Who's in the boat? Jesus is in the boat. I got a news flash for you. This boat that you call life that you're in, if you have Jesus Christ as your Savior, guess where he's at? He's in your boat. But if he sends you somewhere, he's up on the hill, and he's watching you, and he's praying for you. Because who knows what Jesus was praying up on that hill to God? It may be, God, please take care of them. They're going to be out there for 6-8 hours in this storm. They're going to doubt you. They're going to doubt me. Please restore them. I'm going to go get them before it's too late. But just hold on to them. Because fully God, fully human. If you're with us in that study right now, you're understanding how that different those two really are. And so now you see him, now you don't. Matthew 14:28 through 27. Then Peter called out to him, Lord, if it's really you, tell me to come to you walking on the water. Because see, they thought it was a ghost. I thought it was a ghost out there. Yes, come, Jesus said. So Peter, over the side of the boat, and walked on the water toward Jesus. But when he saw the strong wind and the waves, he was terrified and began to sink. Save me, Lord, he shouted. Jesus immediately reached out and grabbed him. You have so little faith, Jesus said. Why did you doubt me? Verse 29. After Peter's called out, Lord, if it's really you. Was the storm still going on? Absolutely. Jesus didn't show up and make it stop. He showed up while you're still in it. He didn't show up and make everything quiet. He shows up and he's like walking on the water. They're freaking out. They think Jesus is a ghost. Peter says, if that's really you, tell me to come to you. Now, I even think it took great faith for Peter to jump out of that boat. Some people, yes, I think Peter would have just ran through a wall if he could to do whatever. Peter was the one out of all 12 that's going to jump out of that boat. Judas is still back there counting the money. Okay, John's asleep. Yes, come. This is no more instruction. This is less instruction than you give a 2-year-old or a 1-year-old to walk across the room to you. How many of you's ever had a child that just started walking and you're doing this number? Come on, come on, come on, come on, come on. This is less instruction. Jesus just simply says, come. Gets out of the boat. Jesus tries to give you the most simplest instructions to help you with what you're dealing with. Peter jumps out head first, or feet first, I guess, and lands on water that seemed to be as hard as a rock. It'd have to be to walk on it. Water that now just turned into a hardwood floor. And he's walking on the word that Jesus spoke. Not the water, but the promise. Because Jesus said, come. Simple. One word. Come. And Peter jumps out and starts walking on one word. He says, yes, come. And Peter gets out, walks on the faith of one word. Can you walk on the faith of one word that God has given you? Salvation. For no matter what happens in your life, can you walk on that one word? Because we don't like we should. I don't like I should. Peter jumps out, went over the side of the boat, and walked on water towards Jesus. Crazy stupid. Could we all go tonight and jump off the Shell Bridge and just start walking? Or are we going to sink? Yeah. And then look how close Jesus was to take care of him in his stupidity. But when he saw the strong winds, what happened there? Because he did what? He looked at what was going on around instead of who was in the middle of it with him. We can get so busy looking for like these people with the weather who freak out when the snow is forecasted and run and buy milk and bread, and then the day that it's supposed to be here, nothing. And really, how long does the snow stick around in southwest Missouri? It's like floodwaters. There's nobody really in this area when it floods is really in any danger unless they drive their car in it. Other than that, water goes down about as fast as it goes up around here because we have hills. Okay, if we were flatland, we might be in trouble. But how many of you live in the hilly country? Okay, I live in the hilly country. If the creek below me called Greasy Creek ever gets up to my house, you dang sure better be building a boat that can fit all kinds of animals on it because it's bad. Okay, so he gets out, sees the wind, gets distracted, he's terrified, and he begins to sink, and immediately he yells what? Save me, Lord. But would we struggle and try to swim first instead of screaming out? Peter is a good example of what we all should do as soon as we start to get into trouble. Peter screams, save me, Lord. But too many times we try to swim. We might have yelled back to the boat, throw me something. Somebody catch me. Somebody stick an oar out, whatever. But he sinks so fast. But was he too far away from Christ to reach him? No, because Jesus immediately reached out and grabbed him. You have so little faith, Jesus said. Why did you doubt me? Can you imagine what it was like back to the boat? Because Jesus had to take him back to the boat. So I'm sure Jesus has got his arm around him, walking him back to the boat, having a very good conversation with him. I would, okay? But I would be telling Peter how stupid he is, but I put myself in Peter's shoes because I would have done the same thing. Jesus would have had his arm around me like he does so many times, going, I told you, if you just keep your eyes on me, this will be fine. I told you to get in the boat and go to the other side. I didn't tell you were going to drown. I didn't say go halfway and drown. I said get in the boat and go to the other side. And if Jesus tells you to get in a boat and go to the other side, are you going to make it to the other side? Yes. Everything in this world is going to throw crap at you. But if you do not put your faith and trust in him, if you cannot say rat it out, because I got to thinking the other day, somebody asked me, they said, how do you do what you do for a living without losing your mind? And so many times I used to say, well, if I didn't have God, I wouldn't be able to do this. Do you know what? That was the biggest load of crap I ever fed anybody, because I wrote a crutch of a name. When in reality, if I didn't know the promise of salvation through God, through Christ, then I wouldn't be able to do it. If I lose sight of the meaning of the word salvation, I can't handle this stuff. If you lose sight of the meaning salvation in your home, in your school, in your personal life, your relationships, you'll never make it through any of this. Because all this bad stuff that happens to you here on earth is going to come to an end one day. You're finally going to be on the other side. If you're saved, if you have Jesus Christ as your Savior, you are going to make it to the other side. Is the wind going to blow? Absolutely. Is there going to be lightning? Absolutely. Thunder, rain, hail, everything that a mailman can deliver the mail in is going to happen. You can either ride the promise of salvation, or you can look at everything going on around you and live a full, scared to death life all the way to the end. You get a bad diagnosis from the doctor. It hurts. It takes a while to stop noticing the wind. But if I get a bad diagnosis from the doctor tomorrow that says you have 6 months, am I going to focus on the wind and the waves, or am I going to focus on the promise? The promise is all I have. This stuff, I can't do anything about it. Peter could not swim fast enough. He sunk immediately to the point that he had to cry out. He's a fisherman. Did he know how to swim? Absolutely. There's no way he would not have known how to swim. Spent his whole life on the water. He knew how to navigate those kind of heavy waters. Peter gets out of a boat and sinks and has to scream for Christ to save him. That's how bad it was. And he could not pull himself up. Stop struggling in the water. Sometimes we just have to stop and say, save me from whatever it is you're dealing with. I know when we say save me, we think salvation, but there's everything. God, my home is a wreck. Save me. Doesn't mean it's going to get better. Jesus is still there with them in the storm. The wind didn't stop blowing. Jesus showed up in the middle of it. He didn't wait till the storm was over. He showed up in the middle of it. In the 4th hour, the darkest moment, when they were the tiredest. Can you imagine how sore their arms were? Can you imagine just the attitudes alone and the physical, emotional? Were they hungry? I would have been. She's hangry right now, right? Okay, she said a minute ago she's so hungry her stomach hurt. When did you eat today last? At 3? Okay, so you've had something. These guys went almost 8 hours probably in this boat with nothing and screaming and yelling at each other. It was the ultimate car ride of where we're going to eat for 8 hours, okay? Is it simple? It sounds like it. Easier said than done? Absolutely. So what we're going to do tonight before we get done, we've got 10 minutes left. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. If you can break up in groups of 6, I want you to pray for each other. Can you do that? Pray for each other. If you want to mention what's happening in your life right now that you need prayer for, that'd be great. If you want to say it as unspoken, that's on you. But I want you to pray for each other. So if you need to get together, 2 groups off to the side, and I want you guys to get together as a group, and I want you to pray over whatever crap that you're in a boat right now and it is rocking like crazy and you need to stop and just go, save me. I need to focus on you in this. Not what I can do, but what you can do. The people in the boat with me are driving me nuts, Lord. I need your help. Whoever those people are, maybe you need to pray for them. Does it make sense? You guys good? Okay, split you up, and then I'll dismiss this when we're done. All right?